Hi folks, I'm Neil Davies, Marketing Director here at Hornady. With me today is Seth Swerzik, ballistician for Hornady, and Joe Thielen, who's our Engineering Director. Today we're going to talk about a brand new product for us, which is the Bore Driver FTX muzzleloading system, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's not just a projectile, it's not just a repackaged something else. This is a very specifically designed projectile and skirt mechanism that works together, and it really is going to be pretty groundbreaking for us, I think.
Yeah, Joe, I mean, when you guys started with this project, you set about to not just adopt an old bullet design or something like that. I mean, certainly it incorporates some of our design features that are tried and true within our existing projectiles. But this was purpose-built system, correct?
For muzzleloaders, yes. So obviously we've been making bullets a long time, and we're very, very good at making jacketed, lead core, cup and core bullets as we call them. So we okay, we need to apply what we know in making pistol bullets, rifle bullets, everything else, and apply it to muzzleloaders. So yes, this was from the ground up, designed and built for the muzzleloaders.
Yeah, and key to this, the overarching desire that was transmitted from both Jason and Steve Hornady was that this needed to be easy loading. That's been accomplished with our skirt or platform that is essentially what is going in at the base of the projectile. It's not a saboted projectile. It's got a skirt that helps to obturate under pressure when the propellant is ignited. It also has a post that goes inside of the projectile that under pressure, when the powder is ignited, it swells and engages the inside of the projectile to help it spin, basically, right?
Yes. I would say the three components that you have to have in a spin stabilized projectile is, number one, you have to engage the rifling to spin it up to give you stability. You got to have a mass balance to make it shoot well, and then obviously you got to have some aerodynamic efficiency. Well, with a muzzleloader, it's unique because you load it from the front. Well, you got to somehow figure out how to make it engage the rifling with some components, unlike a breech loading cartridge. So this one here has three mechanisms between the bullet and the skirt to make sure that we get proper engagement, if you will, to spin it up. The skirt engages by the post, which you mentioned. It also engages when it basically presses like a clutch against the base of the projectile.
Yeah. Then
you also have the grip on the boat tail side where the skirt grabs the very bottom of the bullet and helps spin it up.
That's a good way to put it. I think people would understand that it operates kind of like a clutch. I mean, under pressure, that base engages with the projectile. You have like a thrust washer maybe with the post or something like that then helps to spin and twist that bullet down the bore, sealing off gases so that you get all the energy that you possibly can. Obviously this is Hornady, so our tagline is accurate, deadly, dependable. And one thing that we always make sure we incorporate into our hunting projectiles is lethality and effectiveness on game. And with this projectile, there's no exception. Seth, I'll let you kind of cover some of those features.
Absolutely. I think the biggest divergence between this projectile and other bullets in its class from different manufacturers is the terminal performance. This is a copper jacketed bullet, not a copper plated bullet. So with a copper plating, it expands really rapidly. And sometimes that can be desirable, but it usually doesn't penetrate quite as deeply. So with a copper jacketed bullet, we're going to have a more controlled expansion, a deeper penetration, still a lot of energy transfer. And it's also got the interlock ring, which we're known for, which helps minimize that expansion if you were to impact maybe a bone or really high muzzle velocities, things of that nature. So this bullet is in line with everything we've done for the last 75 years of making hunting bullets as far as terminal performance is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, it has, it's a bullet that works with control. It's a controlled expansion projectile for hunting purposes. The nose of the jacket is thinner than it is at the base, so the jacket gets progressively thicker all the way down toward the base. Like Seth said, it has an interlock ring, so that interlock ring is a mechanical jacket to core lock that helps the projectile stay together to retain weight, to drive through bone and hide and things like that to make sure that you get a good, swift, clean dispatch of the animal that you're hunting. Another feature that's involved with the projectile is obviously the flex tip. I mean, this is the Bore Driver FTX, and FTX stands for flex tip expanding. Joe has had a lot of experience with the flex tip material, and I'll let you kind of expand upon that.
Yeah, the tip is, like in a lot of our other projectiles, that's what initiates your expansion. It's very, very important to have the right the density and the flex, if you will, in the tip, especially at the lower velocities that these muzzleloaders shoot projectiles at.
Yeah, the flex tip material acts a bit like, imagine a water balloon. If you kind of push on it from one side or another, it swells on, all the way around the balloon. So this is a soft material that when it contacts, anything, basically, it's going to start to kind of balloon down and kind of open up and help open that projectile, which is key at the lower velocities that you often encounter with a muzzle loader. That flex tip technology is an advancement that we've put into a lot of projectiles and helps them, especially at those low velocities. And unlike a hollow point, it's not going to clog with hide or any other material that might enter into a hollow point. So it keeps that tip clean, and then it will help it expand at those lower velocities that you'll achieve at maybe longer distances with your muzzle loader.
And it gives you a little bit more aerodynamic efficiency.
That's right.
Extends the ogive.
And this projectile, the FTX projectile that's in the whole system here, the Board Driver FTX, it does have a slight bow tail that helps with the skirt and the pedals that engage upon it. But then obviously it provides a little bit of slipstream that ultimately would give you a little better downrange performance. The weight on this projectile is 290 grains. Great choice. We've had people that have tested it already on elk and white-tailed deer. A lot of the folks here at Hornady have used it with great success. And another key component of this system is the fact that we're shipping them in basically speed loader tubes. So as you can see here, you'll have 5 projectiles in one of these that you can use as a speed loader. You can take the tip off and just kind of hold it and drop one in. You can have another tube that you can use to put any of your powder in or any of your possibles that you might need while you're out muzzleloader hunting. But at the heart of this design, obviously, is accuracy, but it's that ease of loading that we tried to achieve here, and we're successful in that. I myself, I've you go hunting with the muzzleloader. Sometimes in some states, those seasons are early. Sometimes they're late, and when it's cold out there, metal starts to shrink, things like that happen, tolerances get tight, and I skinned my knuckles one time putting a hard saboted bullet in a muzzleloader, and that's a horrible thing to happen when it's about 10 degrees outside. So I think that you guys, the rest of the team, have really accomplished something here with a projectile and a system here that's easy to load, provides maximum lethality, and comes in a real convenient system for hunters out there and when they're doing their muzzleloader hunts.
Yeah,
I think the ease of loading and the accuracy are really a hard thing to balance.
Yeah.
If you make it too easy to load, sometimes it won't spin up quite as well.
Yeah.
You could lose some accuracy there. And if you make it load incredibly hard, you might gain the accuracy. So we really balance the system with that skirt design so that it loads well, but also shoots accurately.
We get a lot of questions on, loading force versus accuracy and velocity, which is a very good question. It's a balancing act or a trade-off. It's the two lend themselves to one another. You can't have a projectile, specifically in muzzleloaders, that you load from the muzzle end where they just rattle or fall down the barrel, because you won't get any engagement in the rifling when you ignite the powder and put the pressure behind it. It'll rattle back out the barrel. So you want to have some engagement. That's one thing we worked very, very hard on with the Board Driver, was to get there's variation in the barrels of the muzzleloaders and stuff, but we had to get the fit between the bullet and the skirt and the sizing and everything right with the tolerances. So you get, you can feel it go down the barrel, but it's not hard. Mm-hmm. But yet when you ignite that powder and put the pressure behind it, you get the obturation and the swelling, the filling of the bore, if you will, with the bullet and the skirt and everything. And that's helped us on the accuracy side. I know you've done some shooting, Seth, with different muzzleloaders and these bullets.
Right. I think the design we have creates redundancy, and that redundancy is necessary for consistent accuracy. Most projectiles, either skirtless or saboted, they rely on the friction between the rifling and the skirt or the jacket to spin that bullet up. And there is a possibility that the bullet doesn't get all of that energy as it spins. With this, we've got those 3 mechanisms that you talked about, Joe, and that redundancy is going to help transfer all of that torque to the projectile so you get that bullet fully spun up, and that's only going to lend itself to consistent accuracy.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Now, does the projectile itself actually obturate? I mean, does it swell up just a little bit under that pressure?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yes, it does. We've
Okay.
captured, projectiles that we've shot into media for expansion or whatever, and we've inspected the OD of the jackets.
Yeah.
And yes, so you get all of the things that Seth talked about between the bullet and the skirt, but then you also get bullet engagement, much as you would with a centerfire rifle, cartridge in the bore.
Yeah, so there's a bit of obturation. That projectile will actually get engraving from the rifling
Yes.
on there, and obviously aids in accuracy and things like that. Which, this is a very accurate system right here. I mean,
Yes.
from what we've seen in all testing and out in the field, this is a really accurate system.
Yes, in the muzzleloader world, you bet you can shoot MOA or a little over MOA with a muzzleloader.
That's great.
That's incredible.
So this being a brand new product, we're still investigating some things with some of the western states or some of the places where there are certain legal requirements for muzzleloader projectiles and what you can and can't use. And Joe, maybe you can expand upon that just a little bit.
Yeah, the biggest ones, we're in contact with some states. Some of them, you cannot use a saboted projectile. And we want to check into that. We're investigating that. We've heard back from some folks, but we don't have anything set in stone yet that we've heard yes or no as far as legal or not. But we will definitely keep people posted on that for sure.
Yeah, and we're filming this in December of 2020. So once things are answered and we know where we are, we'll make sure that information is posted on our website. Well, at Hornady, we've been in business since 1949, over 70 years now, and making bullets is really it's a core competency. It's something that we live and breathe to do, and that's the same principle that has been applied to this new projectile.
Absolutely. I think that we've taken everything we've learned and applied it to this, and that let us get a few things. One, accuracy, which we're known for, and consistency, and concentricity. We can make these things. We use the raw material, and then from start to finish on one machine, we make that whole projectile. So we keep it all on the same track, so it's never being handled. There's a lot of plated bullets out there. They come off a machine, they get washed. They get on a machine, they get plated. And all those different handling mechanisms, they can get dinged, they can go back in crooked. They're not as concentric, and therefore they're not going to be as accurate over the course of over their manufacturing life. And something like this, start to finish on the same machine, incredibly accurate. And then also we've taken all of what we've learned over the years and applied it to this muzzle velocity window. Muzzle loaders with a standard propellant charge operate within a few different extreme spreads, but they're all within that same window. And we've made this jacket thickness along with the FTX tip specific for that velocity window, so you get reliable terminal performance as well.
Yeah, and I mean, plated bullets, that plating could vary. I mean, you could have a variation from X to Z. Whereas with this cup and core design, we are controlling that. I mean, this is a very accurate, very consistent projectile and a fantastic muzzleloader system. Well, one of the worst things, or the downside of muzzleloader shooting, is you've got to clean them. That's just the way it is. And one thing we found with the bore driver FTX is there's less fouling that's in your bore, right?
Yes, especially plastic.
Yeah.
From a saboted projectile, we did a big test the other day and shot like 6 or 8 muzzleloaders of varying manufacturers for action and stuff. And then we went and cleaned them all.
Yeah.
Not very fun, but necessary.
Yeah.
And there's not any plastic in there. Very little plastic.
Huh. Well, that's obviously an unintended benefit that came out of this design. And muzzleloaders, you got to clean them. So if there's less stuff you got to get out of that bore, it's just better. Bore driver FTX, folks, new product from Hornady. We're very proud to introduce this. Easy loading, hard hitting, great new projectile. Change your muzzleloader game for next year.